the person I'd like to introduce is our trainer, Jason Olbo. Jason? The next person is my left-hand man, my administrative assistant, David Newsom. David's always the first one to open up the locker room on Friday nights or Saturday mornings or whatever. The last thing I said to him Friday when I took him home, I said, "Now you gotta get a little earlier tomorrow. Do you want me to call you?" "No, Coach," he said, "I'll be there." David almost missed the bus. He was 10 minutes and he'd have missed the bus completely. The first senior I'd like to introduce is number 22, Jeremy Lang. Jeremy was on our kickoff team and did an excellent job on our scout team. Number 6, Idris Golden. Idris was a backup safety and also on the kickoff team. Number 7, Danny Means, offensive end. Number 73, Matt Arts. He's probably going to get mad at me for telling this story, but I got to tell you this story. It was about the third week of the playoffs. Matt and Brandon Lefevre, who was playing on the scout team across from him, every play after play after play, there was a fight. You know, two guys were just going after it. First time Matt would hit him, Brandon would come in and hit him in the head. So finally I had enough of it. I said, "We're on Hackley Stadium." I said, "You two guys go over there on the sideline and sit down and tell you one of you apologizes to the other one. Because one of you is wrong and one of you is right. The guy that's wrong said apologize." So practice goes on. We put 2 more kids in there, and I look over there about 20 minutes later. They're still sitting over there. And I said, I'm the dummy. I said, "Hell, they'll sit over there the whole practice." So I walk over there, and I said, "Okay, one of you guys is wrong." I said, "All you got to do is be man enough to say I'm wrong and say I'm sorry." So right off the bat, Brandon said, "I'm wrong." And then Matt says, "I'm wrong." I said, "Well, why didn't you tell me this 15 minutes ago? We wouldn't have had this delay in practice." But Matt was 100%er in practice. He kept things hopping around our practice field because you never knew the scout team, if Matt was coming down the field, he'd like to take your head off. Number 64, Troy Gardner. I think Troy was one of our most improved players. He played offensive guard, did some trapping for us, and just was a solid game for us. Number 60, Nate Arts, the other half. Nate was just a solid performer all year at offensive tackle. Number 33, Sean Parsons. One of the plays that we were going to try to run at the Silverdome was a quick trap. We're going to get in there real close, and we're going to put Sean in for Eric, and we're going to quick give him the ball and hope that we can get by that big Primus kid. We ran it once, and we got about 3 yards. So we ran it again, and we got absolutely nothing. Sean came off the field, he tapped me on the shoulder, he says, "Coach," he says, "that quick trap ain't there." Number 5, Angelo McWhorter. Angelo was a wide receiver and filled in on punt returns when Elon went down. Did a nice job for us. Number 11, our snare drummer, Rick Smith. Rick kicked about 85 extra points for us this year, and he had 3 field goals, and you know where the biggest one was at. Number 55, Todd Collis. Now, the nose man from King was that Primus, 6'7", 295 pounds, and he lines up across from Todd. You know, just common sense. We're not going to block that kid. So all week, all we did with Todd is if the play went to the right, Todd would crawl between his legs and try to pick up his legs on his back side so he couldn't push off and get to the play. And he did a tremendous job. And Primus was only credited with making 3 tackles. And here he is, All-State, will probably be an All-American nose man. And he had 3 tackles off Todd Collis. Number 10, Bill Maybanks. We were on Bill all week, the week of the King game. We felt at down at Lansing Sexton game that Bill didn't fill in fast enough. And we said some things to him. In fact, we came right out and we put a sophomore right there. We said, Bill, the first time you don't come up Saturday, we're putting a sophomore in there. We're going to get beat. We're going to get beat with a sophomore. And so all week long, we just alternated the sophomore and Bill. They were in there for 3 plays, and then he was out for 3 plays. And it sure paid off because Bill had one of the finest games, the defensive safety here at Muskegon in a long, long time. Number 10 made a lot of tackles that Saturday afternoon. Number 15, Jason Craigo. Jason was a 3-year starter for us, and when Jason started for us 2-3 years ago, the kids gave him a nickname, Boner. He took a lot of razzing, but he hung in there, and I'll tell you, Jason's got the Class A state championship ring, and those guys that call him a Boner, they didn't get one. Number 3, Elon Banks. Elon is a 3-year starter for us. Did a fantastic job as a running back. In the Midland game, he turned his ankle real bad, and he hung in there and still gained 123 yards. And we'd have never gotten by Midland without the determined running of Elon. It was just a shame that he couldn't play the next couple of games because it hurt our offense, and I'm sure Elon feels bad about it. But he had a great, great career here for 3 years at Muskegon High School. Number 83, Allie Anderson. Allie is a 2-year starter at defensive end, and he is the worst practice player that we've had here in Muskegon since I've been here. Allie's, he can con some coaches. He likes to drink water. So the first year, for the first half of the year, he'd say, Coach, I need a drink. Yeah, go get a drink. And about halfway through, I said, he gets to drink 3 or 4 times in practice. No one else does. So I finally got on to him. So it was about 2 weeks ago. We were practicing. We ran a power 7, and I looked over there, and here's this little JV, about 135 pounds at defensive end, and we're trying to run power at him. And I said, where's Anderson? Coach Darwin says, he went to get a drink of water. So I stopped practice. I said, well, the water's right over here. Allie, where are you? No Allie. So we looked on the sidelines. We had water over there. No Allie. We waited, 6 or 7 minutes for Allie to go inside, get his drink of water, and come back out. By that time, I was just fuming. You could just see the air coming out. So I said, Allie gets back over there, and I don't call the offense. And I jumped in there. I said, give me a power I right, power 7, everyone at Anderson. And we hit Allie and carried it back about 15 yards. He got up, his helmet's turned. What did I do wrong? No more water. One of the finest defensive backs that I've ever coached. He's played 30 games for us here at Muskegon High School. Number 9, Freddie Townsend. Freddie was just like a coach on the field. You tell him once, he ran the whole backfield out there. Coaches take a lot of credit, but I'll tell you, it was Freddie. He put people in the right places, covered more people's rear than we want to talk about, but I think he's got a great prospect of playing college football ahead of him. Number 25, Rufus Harris. I'll tell you how smart we are. Last year we had Rufus at a nose. This year we moved to a linebacker. He makes all state. He just did a fantastic job. From the day he went to linebacker, he just got better and better and better. And it was just amazing some of the things that he did on that football field. And Rufus is going to be a great college player from Muskegon, Michigan. Next, number one in your hearts and number one in the Big Reds, Marcus Longmire. Starter for us. He started the first couple of years at defensive back, and then this year, I don't know if you call him a starting halfback, but he played an awful lot, and just did a great job. And I think one of the biggest improvements in Marcus has been his attitude. I think he finally has found there's more to life than just sports. He's buckled down in the classroom. His grades are much, much better, and we just hope that he can get on with his life and play some football someplace. Marcus, without a doubt, was the real leader for us to get that state championship. Every time on Thursday we get down on one knee, Marcus said, hey, this is what we're going to do. Hey, and he'd do it by example. And some of those hits on fourth down, when those passes were actually caught, that was just determination on Marcus's part. And I think it was, I'd like to thank Marcus for his leadership and keeping everyone under control and being a real leader for us this year. These are the 1989 seniors from our state championship ball club. At this time, I'd like Dr. Fugate to come up and say a few words.
I am glad to see that everybody got to stand up, because I learned a long time ago that you can't absorb what your seat can endure. And it's good to see. This is the quietest I've seen the Big Red stands since the last 4 seconds of that game at the Dome. And I'm just about as nervous now as I was then. About 30 years ago, I sort of resented the fact that the coaches got to give all the awards. And we started giving, my staff in my office and myself, started giving awards to kids that we felt really played beyond the call. They would come to our office, they would get treatments, get shots, which they love, get bandaged up, get a lot of TLC, and then go back to practice. And we appreciated the way they acted, the way they came down, and we felt they needed an award. So every year we have given, for the last 30 years, awards to the fellows that we thought were beat up, played over their aches and pains. Now this whole team could get that award this year because they played over a lot of aches and pains. But there were 2 guys that just kept my office in business. One was an offensive fellow, but we weren't really that deep. And this kid would play on the first team, and then they would want to put him in on the second team. And finally, I went to Coach Taylor and said, I can't stand this. And he said, okay, due to your age, we'll do what you want to do. So if Todd Collis, who was our center, was so beat up, I don't know how he played every game, but I'd like for him to come forward at this time, please. This says the most battered player award. Now, we had one other battered player, and he was on the defense. And I don't know how in the world he ever got out for every game, because he was in my office on Monday through Thursday, and then he would play on Friday. I would say, how are you? And he'd be mad because he didn't get to hit somebody hard. And that guy was Freddie Townsend.
At this time, I'd like to pass out our special awards. Our team captains for 1989, Fred Townsend and David Woods. The Muskegon Chronicle All-City Team. At times, you wonder. Detroit Martin Luther King had 9 players on the All-Detroit team, and we only had 6 teams on the All-Muskegon team. So I don't know. They had 18 high schools down there, and we've got about 4 or 5. I think our kids got shortchanged a little bit, but the kids that did make it was David Woods, offensive guard, Marcus Longmire, running back, Rick Smith, kicker, Anthony Brown, defensive end, Rufus Harris, linebacker, and a unanimous Freddie Townsend, defensive safety. The Detroit News All-State First Team, Marcus Longmire. First team, Rufus Harris. Second team, Elon Banks. The Detroit Free Press All-State First Team, Marcus Longmire. First team, Rufus Harris. Second team, Elon Banks. The Associated Press International All-State First Team, Elon Banks. First team, Rufus Harris. Second team, Marcus Longmire. United Press International All-State First Team, Marcus Longmire. Rufus Harris, First Team. Elon Banks, Second Team. And those are the All-State Awards. The last group of awards that I've got here, I think are very, very important because the kids vote on these, and it's a peer group, and I think it's a real tribute to the winners of these awards because they were voted on by their fellow players. And it's not a popularity contest either. I think the kids this year, I agree with their selections. I think they did a fine job. The most valuable offensive lineman, David Woods. Most valuable offensive back, Marcus Longmire. Most valuable defensive lineman, Allie Water Anderson. Most valuable defensive back, we had a tie, Rufus Harris and Freddie Townsend. Most improved Big Red player, Angelo McWhorter. The Big Red Hustle Award goes to the person that always does their job, never says a word. This person took a tremendous injury in his sophomore year, and he still had the pins in his ankle this year, and it gave him some problems, and he had to operate and take these screws out so he could finish out the year. Sean Parsons. Our 1989 Big Red Most Valuable Player Award goes to number 1, Marcus Longmire.
Coach always does this to me. But I'm very happy that we could State state champion to you. And like Coach said, I did do a lot of growing up in the years. You know, I tried to come out there my senior year. You know, Coach Durham came to me in Elon. He said, man, this is it. He said, this your senior year. What you gonna do about it? He said, you can't go out there gagging around. You know, you're gonna have to come out there and give it your all. And that's what I tried to do when I ran the ball in practice. I ain't gonna say I'm the biggest hustler out there, because I have my legs to time. But I try to do my best, and when it comes to the game, I always give it my all. And I like to thank my team and the coaches too.
In closing, I'd like to thank all of you people for coming out and honoring our Big Red football team for 1989. They were a real delight to coach. They had leaders within. We didn't spend a whole lot of time disciplining kids. They took care of themselves. And our bus trips were very, very enjoyable. Just an enjoyable group to be around. The last couple of days, I've received many, many letters from people throughout the entire state of Michigan saying how much class that Muskegon High School had, from the cheerleaders, the band, to the way the football team was run on the field, and to the individuals themselves. But in closing, I'd just like to read one letter to you that I felt that is a real tribute to our kids. It says, Dear Coach Taylor, congratulations to you and the entire Big Red squad for winning the Michigan Class A State Football Championship. Please know that your governor and all the people of Michigan are proud of your accomplishment. Go Big Reds. Sincerely, Jim Blanchard. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Coach. Now you know why they won. Dedication, all these fellows had. You know, they took home more paper tonight than SD Warren makes in a month. I tell you. They're really a great bunch of young men. If you had your radio on prior to the Silverdome game, any local radio station, you heard a song called the Silverdome Shuffle. And it's really amazing what music can do to generate enthusiasm. For those of you who have heard it,
I'd like to do a brief introduction. In 1986, the Coconuts wrote a song, and we won that championship. And in 1989, we started the playoffs, and we decided to do it again, and now we've established some basic rules. Any team from Muskegon that makes the playoffs gets a song, and as they advance in the playoffs, we seem to make the song longer. And that's because we realize what a class act Muskegon High School is. And we try to get everybody in it to the best of our ability. We also figure by 1995, we're going to be able to make an album.